All right, folks, so Ron DeSantis' campaign has failed to catch fire. It's not collapsed completely. He's still in second place, but he isn't really gaining on President Trump. There have been several systemic struggles for the DeSantis campaign. I think they made several core assumptions when they jumped into the race, and none of those have come true. So, core assumption number one, governance matters. Nope, not one iota. Not in the Republican primaries, it don't. And the simple fact of the matter is that Ron DeSantis passing a bill to stop critical race theory in the state of Florida has been treated by Republican primary voters the same as Vivek Ramaswamy saying things about critical race theory. Saying things and doing things in a Republican primary, there is no actual distinction. And this is hard for a lot of people who are in politics to understand, but it is the reality. Because I get it, politicians make promises all the time. And so you tend to believe those promises in a primary if you have no reason not to believe the promises in a primary, which is why Donald Trump could make promises in 2016 on all sides of a particular issue. And people are like, okay, well, I either trust the guy or I don't trust the guy. DeSantis is like, you should trust me because I did these things in Florida. And the Republican voters are like, well, I mean, but I could trust Vivek. Maybe he'll do those things when he's sure. I mean, I have no reason to believe he won't do those things. So doing things and saying things in a Republican primary turned out to be almost the exact same thing. So DeSantis has focused a lot on governance in Florida, but the governance that he's focused on in the campaign has been all the same stuff that Vivek just says. And so he hasn't actually won any advantage over somebody like Vivek by passing a law banning critical race theory in the classroom over Vivek saying he would do that if you were president of the United States. Right, so that distinction, which I think DeSantis thought was going to be very telling for him, hasn't had any impact on the race. Second, as I mentioned, the electability argument for DeSantis was rooted in the idea that Trump would probably pull low and DeSantis would pull better against Biden. And that hasn't happened, largely because everyone pulls well against Biden, or at least half decently against Biden, because Biden's a really crappy president, as we'll get to in just a little while. So that's hurt him. And then on top of that, I think that DeSantis truly believed that because he had some capital in the bank, not just money, but like actual political capital in the bank, that he could then not go into unfriendly areas and reiterate to the American public why he was popular in the first place. So Ron DeSantis is not just popular because of his COVID policy. Ron DeSantis was popular in the state of Florida because the media made him enemy number one, and then he went into their spaces and he wrecked them. DeSantis, as I've said over and over, needs to be doing this. I don't understand for the life of me why he has not thus far. He's basically shielded himself from opposing media. I get it on a personal level. It's not fun to do that sort of stuff. But you know who does opposing media fairly frequently is Vivek. You know who does opposing media fairly frequently, or at least did during the 2016. He doesn't do it now, but during 2016, Donald Trump did opposing media fairly frequently. If you want to show the Republican base that you are a fighter, DeSantis thinks you do that by actually doing things as governor. As I mentioned, nope. The only way people think that you're a fighter in the Republican base right now is you go on media and you go to a member of the media and you wreck them to their face. That is the way that you show them that you are a fighter. DeSantis has not done this in that campaign so far. So he's not really dropped in the polls. He's stuck still in that 15 to 18% range, but he's not bust out in any serious way. Okay, so over the weekend, he basically was lied about. He made a comment while he was being interviewed by Will Witt that seems to me inarguable in context. In context, I do not think this statement is in any way arguable. It was then immediately taken out of context by pretty much all of his political opponents, which is the way that it works in a campaign, and used as a club to hit him. So here was DeSantis with Will Witt over the weekend.
These guys have records of principle fighting the swamp that are second to none, and yet they will be attacked by some of these people and called rhinos. So it's just been totally detached from any type of substance. And ultimately, a movement can't be about the personality of one individual. The movement has got to be about what are you trying to achieve on behalf of the American people. And that's got to be based in principle. Because if you're not rooted in principle, if all we are is listless vessels that's just supposed to follow, whatever happens to come down the pike on Truth Social every morning, that's not going to be a durable movement.
Okay, so the beginning of this statement, in which he literally calls out people like Elise Stefanik, right? He's talking about left-wing or people who are left-leaning Republicans who have allied with Trump and then suddenly become not rhinos. And then Chip Roy of Texas, who's very, very conservative, and suddenly becomes a rhino when he supports DeSantis. What DeSantis is saying is that congressional supporters who suddenly become not rhinos because they support Trump, even though they're left-wing on policy, or people who simply will do whatever Trump wants on any given day, as opposed to, I like Trump for principled reasons. There are a lot of people who do. Or I like what Trump did as president. A lot of people do. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about people who shift their position on any given day based on what Donald Trump's preferences are. He's saying that any movement that roots itself in follow the leader is not going to be a successful movement. That does not seem particularly arguable to me in that context. So immediately it gets taken out of context. And now the idea is that it's a basket of deplorables moment, like when Hillary Clinton suggested that Trump supporters were a basket of all white supremacists, terrible people, etc. So the suggestion is that what DeSantis was saying there is that everyone who supports Trump is a listless vessel, which is clearly not what he is saying there. Right? In context, he clearly is not. It doesn't matter. You've got the Trump campaign, which, and there's great irony to the fact that Donald Trump can attack anybody from any angle at any time using any tool at his disposal, and everybody just kind of shrugs. DeSantis says something that really is not an insult, and Trump's campaign immediately takes offense. So MAGA put out MAGA Inc. put out a statement saying, instead of issuing an immediate apology, Team DeSantis has spent the last 24 hours doubling down on his insult to Trump supporters. Ron DeSantis should stop hiding behind spokespeople and address this himself. Every hour that passes further underscores the contempt DeSantis has for the voters who made him governor. Perhaps he's waiting for another memo from Never Back Down to tell him what to do. So, again, the idea is that he's insulting you. If you support Trump, he's insulting you. That's not what he's saying. That's clearly not what he said. We played the clip. Vivek Ramaswamy, in very cynical fashion, did the same thing. He tweeted out, the real danger to our movement is the rise of listless vessel robot politicians who blindly follow the commands of their super PACs, which is, I got to say, Vivek, that's pretty disgusting. Okay, Ron DeSantis has been the best governor in the country over the last 4 years. Suggesting that Ron DeSantis is a listless vessel following a super PAC is patently absurd. It's patently absurd. The idea that candidates will say anything or do anything or switch any position to get ahead with no consequence. I mean, that sounds more like a listless vessel kind of talk. But it's a campaign. Campaigns are ugly. We have a wonderful dog. His name is Happy. Happy is a delight. Our kids love the Haps dog. Today, he almost had a fight with some raccoons, which would have been bad. But we need to keep him healthy so he can actually fight it out with the raccoons. And this is why we give him Rough Greens every morning. The dog food you've been giving your dog is dead food. It has very little nutritional value. Just look at it. Brown food doesn't exactly scream nutritional, but green food does. Rough Greens boosts Happy's food back to life. It can do the same for your dog. You don't have to go out and buy new dog food. Just sprinkle Rough Greens on their food every day. It contains all the necessary vitamins and minerals your dog is not getting from their regular dog food. Rough Greens is the only supplement your dog will ask for by name. Rough Greens, get it? It's a pun. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, the founder of Rough Greens, is so confident this product will improve your dog's health. He's offering my listeners a free Jumpstart trial bag. Go to roughgreens.com/Ben. Let Rough Greens bring your dog's food back to life. Happy enjoys his Rough Greens every day so that he can, bulk up to fight the raccoons. That's ruffgreens.com/Ben today, or call 833-MyDog33. That is 833-MyDog33. Go to roughgreens.com/Ben today. Let Rough Greens bring your dog's food back to life. My team knows I need to have my Black Rifle coffee every single morning. I need it. Like my kids keep me up all the time. I actually sleep tracked myself recently, and I found that I've not had more than 6.5 hours of sleep in 3 months. So that means that I really, really need my coffee. I don't have time to brew coffee the traditional way, which means you need to check out Black Rifle Coffee's ready-to-drink cans. Ready-to-drink coffee is perfect for people who need their coffee quickly. Each contains at least 200 milligrams of caffeine and is available in a variety of flavors like the Vanilla Bomb, Salted Caramel, Mocha, and Vanilla Caramel. Black Rifle Coffee is a veteran-founded coffee company operated by principled men and women who honor those who protect, defend, and support our country. With every purchase you make, they give back. Stop running out of coffee. Sign up for a Coffee Club subscription. Have Black Rifle Coffee delivered straight to your door on a schedule. Coffee Club subscribers receive their high-quality coffee at lower prices with free shipping. Plus, they get early access to exclusive deals and prices. Go to blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code Shapiro at checkout for 10% off your order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code Shapiro for 10% off. You can also find Black Rifle Coffee in grocery and convenience stores near you. Black Rifle Coffee is indeed America's coffee. Go check them out right now. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code Shapiro. Get 10% off. DeSantis camp fired back at all of this. They put out a statement via Press Secretary Brian Griffin saying, quote, the dishonest media refuses to report the facts. Donald Trump and some congressional endorsers are listless vessels. Why? Because Trump and DC insiders feel he is entitled to your vote. Ron DeSantis believes your trust should be earned and has the vision, plan, and record to beat Joe Biden and reverse the decline of our country. And then he said that's why Ron DeSantis will be showing up Wednesday night to debate and Donald Trump will not. Okay, well, again, we will see if anybody else, including DeSantis, is able to gain any points during the debate. It seems to me the dynamic of the debate with Trump absent is going to be all about Trump. It seems like everybody's going to train their incoming fire on DeSantis, particularly Chris Christie, who is just a suicide bomber in these debates. He was in 2016 when he committed one of the world's most obvious acts of murder-suicide against Marco Rubio, killed him in a New Hampshire debate, and then proceeded to implode himself. So, a lot of people are looking for something sort of dispositive from this debate. I don't think that is, I don't think that that's probably right. I think that this debate is probably going to be everybody holding their ground, because what ground is there to hold? I mean, they're fighting over 35% of the Republican base at this point. Trump's got the other 2/3 locked up. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to see how anybody breaks loose from that pack. As I suggested last week, I think this debate looks more like a lobster pot than anything else, or a crab pot. Everybody pulling each other down as they try to escape the pot. Meanwhile, Trump is sitting over there with Tucker Carlson, enjoying himself. Now, the other candidates, for what it's worth, are having their own struggles. Everybody's focused on DeSantis' struggles because he's widely assumed, and my polling is the second most prominent candidate in the field, even if he's trailing by 40 points. But the other candidates are having their own troubles. So Vivek Ramaswamy, for all the talk, is still 6-7%. That is outperforming for sure. Vivek is very aggressive. He's out on the campaign trail all the time. He goes into opposing media spaces. He's very clever. Right? All of those things are in Vivek's favor. Is he actually going to be the nominee? Almost undoubtedly not. It doesn't matter. He's making a name for himself, which, again, is part of what Republican politics has become for a while, is very often people running for office for ancillary reasons. Meanwhile, Nikki Haley is still running. She's earning 3-4% of the vote. She's, at least to her credit, trying to make a case as to why people should move beyond Trump, which I assume that somebody has to make if they don't want Trump to be the nominee. Here's Nikki Haley the other day trying to explain why Trump should not be the nominee.
I think that President Trump was the right president at the right time. I agree with so many of his policies. But at the end of the day, we have to win in November. And it is time to put that negativity and drama behind us. We can't keep talking about the past. We have got to talk about how we are going to take America to a new future that is full of peace and law and order and opportunities for our children.
That's a case. Is it going to have any weight? I have some doubts. Meanwhile, the person who actually has the strongest case to make against Trump on the merits is Mike Pence, who's vice president, who Donald Trump lied about for 3 months, suggesting that he had the unilateral power to overturn the 2020 election by denying state-certified results. Pence was asked specifically about whether Trump actually declassified materials that he then, had on his property at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. And Pence was like, well, I didn't see any evidence he declassified them.
We are learning that Meadows has told investigators that he knew of no such broad declassification order from Donald Trump. What about you? Had you heard anything to suggest that the president had issued an order, even a standing order, declassifying documents like that?
Well, first off, the handling of classified materials is enormously serious in the life of the nation. But I can't really comment on your reporting, but in my case, I was never made aware of any broad-based effort to declassify documents. There is a process that the White House goes through to declassify materials. I'm aware of that occurring on several occasions over the course of our 4 years, but I don't have any knowledge of any broad-based directive from the president.
Okay, again, Teflon Don. None of this is going to make any difference. The indictments are a reason for his supporters to vote for him, according to CBS News polling. So, again, there are a lot of Republicans in waiting, and there is only one guy who's leading the race by 46 points right now. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.